sign for resident voting rights?
For what rights?
Yeah, this is we're advocating for a bill that's in the city council that would give voting rights to all legal residents of the city, regardless of citizenship.
Are you serious?
We are very serious.
You must be kidding me.
No.
So illegals?
Huh?
You want the illegals
No,
to vote?
all people who are legal residents. Everyone who's here legally.
Not a citizen.
They're not citizens, but they're here legally. They're paying taxes. They're participating in society.
So you want to change the Constitution? You want
It's not in
anyone?
the Constitution. There's nothing in the Constitution. For the first 150 years of this country's history, non-citizens were allowed to vote. That's only been something that's been in the last 75 years that's been. And there's nothing in the Constitution about it.
So there's nothing in the Constitution that stipulates that all American citizens should vote? What about criminals? Are they allowed to vote? Are you for criminals to vote also?
That's state by state.
So
this would be allowing people to vote in city elections.
But why would we want to do that, I wonder?
Why? Because democracy is the people who are being affected by something are the people who have a say in what that is. So to vote on the city level, you're not voting on national defense, you're not voting for the president, you're not voting on any federal policies, you're voting on what happens within the city of New York. So why wouldn't you want the majority of people voting for the thing that the decisions are going to affect them? We have some neighborhoods where 50% of the people in the neighborhood can't vote. So, you know, and it used to be that African Americans couldn't vote. It used to be that women couldn't vote. They were citizens. They had citizenship, but they weren't allowed to vote. It used to be that Chinese Americans weren't allowed to vote.
You mean just because they're Chinese, or just because they're not? They don't have papers.
Because they're Chinese.
You mean they look at their eyes and say, "No, you're Chinese."
There was a law passed by the U.S. Congress that denied the vote to Chinese Americans of Chinese descent. Yes.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
So you think that if we were to go to Mexico, for example, and you would expect Mexican government or Mexican city authority to?
There are 43 countries in the world right now that allow non-citizen resident voting. Yeah.
Non-citizen residents.
Yeah, that you don't. If you live in that city, but you live in that country, but you're not a citizen, you're allowed to vote.
But if you cross the border into Mexico from Guatemala, for example, and they'll get arrested or thrown into jail in Mexico, for example. I mean, just trying to understand, I mean, why would you want that to do? I would presume that the people who pay taxes, and that's the key. I know that they brought up, the tax issue.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you have to show that you pay taxes and then you would be allowed to vote?
No, you have to be here legally. So anyone who's here legally...
You mean a green card?
It could be a green card, it could be a visa, it could be... There are a lot of different ways...
Wait. There's a fundamental difference between a visa and a green card. If you're a tourist, you come here on a visa.
Well, a tourist, you have to be here resident for 6 months, so it wouldn't be anyone on a tourist visa. So it would have to be some type of work visa. So you have people here who are work visas.
And you want the people on work visas to vote for the city council. I'm not talking about the general elections. You're only talking about the city.
These are only in New York elections.
But what advantage would it give, to the residents, citizens who were born here or raised here? I mean,
well, a lot of New Yorkers weren't born and raised here, but they still get to vote. In fact, the majority of New Yorkers weren't born and raised here, but they still get to vote.
Yeah, true. But
if you're going to use that as a criteria, then...
But I'm saying, I'm an immigrant myself. Like, I came from USSR originally.
Yeah.
And I would presume that my interests might go against the interests of, others who are, well, not exactly citizens. For instance...
Why? You're going to have a different point of view on whether money should go towards the MTA or money should go towards education for the schools? Our kids are in the same school, so why would we have a different point of view on that?
Well, here's what I'm thinking about. I would presume that, generally speaking, I guess those are recent immigrants. They're not as well off in most cases as the people who've been living here long enough, or the citizens, because obviously citizenship presupposes...
So income level should be a criteria for voting? That's exactly what this rally is about.
Well, I would say here's the reason why. I mean, we're bankrupt. The state of New York, I don't know exactly the finance of the city of New York, but the state of New York has more debt than only one other state, and that's the state of California.
Right.
So I would presume that the people...
But it's also got the third highest budget in the country.
Yeah, but the budget means nothing. I mean, we as a country, we have.
The reason there's only one other state is because there's only two other states that actually have a larger budget. So the debt isn't the second largest in terms of percentage of the budget. It's the second largest in terms of the actual number.
I'm not sure about percentage, but it's definitely the largest.
So, but compared to Rhode Island, they may have a larger percentage of their debt, but because their budget is only one.
Okay, but besides the point, we are in the red, regardless, right? So I would presume that the problem that we will have in this case is that the people in the lower income, they would expect to even better. They will keep electing, the officers, the city officers. They will provide them with better benefits. So who's going to pay for all of that? I mean, that's kind of the issue that I have. To be honest with you, that's the issue that I have with most of the people here. I'm just, came here to see what's their beef. And I disagree with this 99% baloney. So, I mean, why again, getting back to the question, why would you want the permanent residents or people on visas to select their representatives?
Because, and I'll say this one more time and then I can't explain it anymore. Democracy is about giving the people who are affected by the laws the power to have a say in those laws. That's what democracy means. I
understand,
and so this is a democracy. So that's why I think it's important.
But it's not.
And it's not based on whether I like what that person is. They're going to vote for the same thing as me or not. It's not based upon that. We don't give rights to people because we think they're going to vote for the same thing we are. We give rights to people because they're human beings.
So you're not concerned about the consequences here, and they're concerned about with the fact that perhaps
the consequences could be better if you have more people participating in government.
Asking for benefits, demanding benefits.
Why do you assume? You're a bit of a. Because
I see what's happening over here. I see that
do you know that there are 25% of the population are immigrants, but 47% of the small businesses in the city are run by immigrants.
I'm not against the immigrants.
But you're saying that you think that they would be automatically. You're assuming that they're poor.
In New York City, yeah. I mean, specifically in the city of New York. I mean, that's
not true. That's not true. Immigrants are not. They're not.
Okay. I mean, if that's what you want. I mean, I'm not going to subscribe
for that. Even if they were, I mean, again, we don't give voting rights to people based on their income level.
No, we don't.
So anyway, that's it.
Okay.
And Rachel.
I used to live at 238th and Waldo.
Oh my God.